How to destroy the Hillbilly. The Hillbilly has a chainsaw that allows him to zoom around the map, shred pallets really fast, and insta-down survivors. So how do we counter him? Well, the most important thing that you can do, especially as a team, is to mind your positioning. The Hillbilly can be brutally efficient at defending multiple things in one area, so to mitigate this, do your absolute best to take the chase away from people on the hook and away from generators that need to be done. In other words, split up from your teammates. Trying to end the chase in a second floor building or other complex area without a nearby hook can be a really solid idea, as this will delay his ability to quickly hook you and use his mobility to go to the next generator. But do be careful and don't go down near basements or other areas that he could defend very easily to make your unhook a nightmare for your teammates. Being caught in a dead zone can often lead to a free hit or a free down, so only be here if you are very confident that you can react appropriately. The Hillbilly is the type of killer that can make a big comeback out of a very small mistake, so against him, it's very important to avoid getting caught off guard. As the match goes on, you should keep a mental checklist of common perks and add-ons that Billy players like to run. For example, when a gen hits 70%, check for Tinkerer and or Silent Chainsaw add-ons. If they are there, now you know to be more careful at this stage of generator repairs. When he saws a pallet in front of you for the first time, watch the animation to see if it's a normal break or a low pro chains, and if they are there, now you know that you shouldn't stay in front of the pallet when you drop it next time. Likewise, when he sprints in front of you, you can look at his speed to gauge whether or not he has the engravings and get an idea of what kind of player they are. Once you've identified these add-ons and perks, which I'll give you more information about at the end of the video, you get a better idea of what you're playing against and it becomes a lot easier to counter it. Remember that you will hear a chainsaw sound in the distance that is non-directional if he uses his chainsaw within 60 meters of you, but if that sound becomes directional, that means that he's very close and you should be careful. An incoming chainsaw sprint can typically be dodged by strafing unpredictable left or right, but if you want to be extra safe, briefly get behind some cover and it should be impossible for the Hillbilly to hit you. Once you've avoided any nasty surprises like this, your next job will be to extend your chases as much as possible. Your best friend for this are safe windows, the ones that have long tiles on both sides of them. If you run them correctly, you can force the killer to hit you with a basic attack, or vault them up to 3 times until they get blocked and then you drop a pallet or rotate to another window. Many Billy players will run the perk Bamboozle to deal with such windows, and if you notice that they always vault it preemptively, you can sometimes bait them into doing it and run prematurely to another tile to waste a lot of their time. Pallets are also helpful in chase, but you have to use them correctly. It can feel bad to drop them early and safely, but it's generally a good idea to do it at the start of the match while you still have a lot of them to make sure that you don't go down too early, near the end when you no longer need to save pallets anymore, and also if you're dead on hook and want to play extra safe to buy as much time for your team as possible. Playing around the standing pallet is doable, but do be careful. Billies can fake their ability by briefly tapping their power button, so don't trust this animation too much. And on loops with a long straight side, many Billies will often try to curve around them and hit you with their saw. This is a very common trick that they can do around many structures like Shack, and you'll see it very often. The simplest way to counter it is to step out of the way. If you think that they'll anticipate this, you can pretend to step out of the way and then pivot back, or even use a small gap in the wall to dodge it, but this is a little bit risky. Watch out. If you have a very good sense of how quickly they can use their saw, you can also just loop tight and try to make it around the corner before they hit you, but do be careful, some add-ons can make this a little bit unpredictable. The only pallets that you really don't want to pre-drop are the isolated pallets on the edges of the map. If you drop these pallets early, the killer will break them and you will be completely zoned out, you will have wasted a pallet and go down very quickly after. In a situation like this, you might as well just wait to see if the killer somehow chases you in the wrong direction, which allows you to escape back into the map and into safety, or better yet, see if the killer messes up and hits a wall and bumps into it, which often gives you a lot of time to make it to safety. Even if you keep playing very well for a long time, eventually the Hillbilly will catch up to you, and at that point you need to be ready for the worst case scenarios. If he's revving his chainsaw directly behind you, there are some tricks that can throw him off. A common one is to wait about a second and a half before his chainsaw is almost fully ready, and then bait one direction and juke into the opposite one, which can make him miss. Some other survivors like to spin into him while he's charging his chainsaw for a little bit, and this can throw the killer off because from their point of view it looks like you got behind them. You can sometimes do a quick run into a breakable wall or pallet, which can save you if the killer vacuums into it. Or if you find yourself at stairs like the basement, crouch, which will often make his hitbox miss you entirely. You can also try to do a last second loop around some small obstacle that you know has weird collision, as this can make him hitting his chainsaw a little bit harder even if he's right on top of you. And a one final desperate thing that you can do if he's right on top of you is to hop into a locker and hope that he bumps. Most hillbillies will be smart and anticipate this, but also most of them will not wait with a 99 chainsaw. What they'll likely do is wait for the chainsaw to cool off and then grab you. So if you wait a specific amount of time to get out, you increase your chances to waste his time even further. In some other situations, the hillbilly will be slightly far away from you and prepare a rev to hit you at a bit of a distance. And in these situations, if you're next to a big wall, it is very important not to hug it too tightly. If you do it like this, the hillbilly only needs to aim a little bit to your side and he's nearly guaranteed to hit you or adjust and hit you no matter what. It is better to actually leave a little bit of space, which lets you dodge in both directions, and this will be a lot trickier for him to hit you with. At the end of the day, playing the hillbilly is very hard, and if you follow these steps, you'll make it even harder for them. Good luck.